Dharmesh Sheth is here. Good to see you, Dharmesh. Yeah, let's start with Ruben Amorim then, the new Manchester United head coach. So, Dharmesh, Man United moved really, really quickly. How do they get this done?
Yeah, that's an understatement. They move really quickly, really efficiently, and it should be said here that Manchester United only spoke to Ruben Amorim since Erik ten Hag signed that contract in July, that contract extension in his contract. Before that, it was an open secret that Manchester United were talking to a lot of managers while they were conducting that post-season review on whether Erik ten Hag was going to stay at the football club or not. But once they decided that they were going to keep Erik ten Hag, and listen, they wanted him to stay and they wanted it to work, but it's not worked. And I think they've admitted that it hasn't worked simply because they decided, Erik, thanks, but no thanks, and they sacked him on Monday. And from then, they've moved very, very quickly. Yes, they've done due diligence on a number of candidates throughout this whole process. But in that time, I'm told that the only person that they spoke to was the sporting manager, Ruben Amorim. And what's happened since is that they've moved very, very quickly, very, very efficiently, to the point now that 4 days after Erik ten Hag was sacked by Manchester United, United have now announced that Amorim is their new head coach.
Given that there was only one man in the frame, have United had to compromise?
Slightly. So we were talking when Erik ten Hag was sacked and we knew that Ruben Amorim was the front runner to take on this job, there was talk of a €10 million release clause. Now, Sporting have since released a statement themselves saying that Manchester United have actually paid €11 million. So they've paid that little bit extra. I'm told it's nothing to do with the backroom staff. I'm told there's no problem with that. The €11 million that they are paying, which is in excess of the release clause that was in his contract initially, was to cut down the notice period. Because even if a club came in to get Ruben Amorim and paid the €10 million release clause, there was still a 30-day notice period that he had to serve with the club before he could move. Manchester United felt that was far too long. They wanted to get him as soon as possible. They probably wanted him in today. But they've managed to compromise with Sporting Lisbon by paying that extra bit of money. And with that extra bit of money, they've cut down that 30-day notice period to 10 days. So now Ruben Amorim is going to start his job on November the 11th. That's at the start of the international break. So it feels like a clean break for both Manchester United and for Sporting Lisbon. What that means is that he'll still be in charge for 3 more games for Sporting. The first one is tonight, which is quite significant. It's the first one since the announcement. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of reaction he's going to get from the Sporting fans ahead of their game against Estrella. Then on Tuesday, it's a small matter of a Champions League game at home to Manchester City.
Could be an immediate United hero, couldn't he?
He could. It's going to be his final home game in charge of Sporting, and it comes against Manchester United's noisy neighbours, Manchester City, in the Champions League. And then his final game, this has got a bit of symmetry to it as well, is going to be next weekend, and that's away to Braga. Now, Braga is the team that he managed before he went to Sporting. Now, Sporting themselves had to pay money and compensation to get him out of his Braga contract, rather like Manchester United have had to do to get him out of Sporting.
Is it significant that he is a head coach and not the manager?
It's a good question. Look, Manchester United have got this structure with Ineos. They've got a chief executive in Omar Barada. They've got a sporting director in Dan Ashworth. They've got a technical director in Jason Wilcox. And in that structure, the man who is going to be overseeing the first team is usually a head coach. Now, if you go back to what happened with Erik ten Hag, when he joined United in 2022, he signed a 3-year contract with a 1-year option as the manager of Manchester United, because United didn't have this structure in place at the time. Now, when they did that post-season review and decided to stick with Erik ten Hag, everyone thought, right, they're really backing the manager. In one way they were, because they kept him. And they said, we want you to do well and we want this to work out. We've seen clearly that it hasn't worked out. But what they did at the time was exercise the 1-year option in his contract on the same terms with the same title. So he remained as the manager of Manchester United, whereas we do know that with the structure Ineos have, they want a head coach in situ. Now, people will ask, when it comes to being a head coach, what kind of say are you going to have on recruitment and on transfers? Because we've heard from Portuguese journalists that this guy here, Ruben Amorim, wants total control or big control when it comes to recruitment. Will he decide on his own who comes in and who goes out at Manchester United? 100% no. Will Manchester United sign players that Ruben Amorim doesn't want? 100% no. It is going to be a committee decision, rather like a lot of the big European clubs work, because they have a structure in place with all of these positions and a head coach who picks the team and coaches the team, but will still have a say on the table when it comes to recruitment. So he will have a say, but it is going to be as part of this structure now.
Now, Dharmesh, we've been here before, since Sir Alex Ferguson, with manager after manager after manager. I think he's sixth, isn't he? Has he got the credentials to do the job?
It's a good question. You can look at this in one of two ways. And one reason maybe Manchester United fans might be concerned is that he's only been managing in the Portuguese league. So is that a good enough step up to go from the Portuguese league to the Premier League? But you've also got to remember, he is a manager who has been coveted by plenty of big clubs, both in England and in Europe. And if you look at his record with Sporting Lisbon, when he joined them in June 2020, they just finished fourth in the league. They finished 22 points behind the leaders that season before he joined. His first full season at Sporting Lisbon, he wins the title. He won the title again last season. So those credentials, you would think, actually, he's seen a club that's notoriously done really, really well in their country, but then has just fallen on quite bad times. That first title that they'd won when he first came in was their first title in 19 years. You can kind of draw parallels with what's happening at Manchester United, joining a club that hasn't really won the league. They haven't won the league since 2013. They seem to be on the wane, but he's got experience of trying to lift a club from doldrums like that into a position like that. And how about this? You mentioned the 6 permanent managers. He is the 6th one since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013. The last time Manchester United employed a permanent manager in November was in 1986. And who was it? Alex Ferguson.
No pressure, Ruben. Dharmesh, yeah, thank you.
The attention on the incoming Ruben Amorim, but the breaking news concerns his predecessor, Erik ten Hag, who has just written a letter to the fans. This is what he's had to say. Dear fans, let me start by thanking you. Thank you for always being there for the club, whether it was a game far away or a tough match at Old Trafford. Your support has been unshakable. The atmosphere at Old Trafford has always been electrifying. Thanks to you, I felt it many times. Also in away games, it gave the team and me an incredible feeling to hear the United chants taking over the opponent's stadiums, whether the game was in England, Europe, or during the summer tours.
Shows you how fast football moves. The new man is in. The letter continues from Erik ten Hag. He says, I always enjoyed meeting Manchester United fans throughout the world, walking the streets, being able to chat with fans in England, Europe, Asia, Australia, the USA. He says, you inspired me and radiated a strong sense of unity. That's what makes United supporters so special, he says. I want to thank you for giving me this feeling and for your support. I also want to thank the staff in every department of the club for their unwavering support in good times and bad.
Yeah, he goes on to highlight the trophies that they've won. We won 2 trophies, achievements that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Of course, my dream was to bring more trophies to the cabinet. Unfortunately, that dream has come to an end. I wish all Manchester United fans nothing but success, trophies and glory. Your support and the warmth I receive from everyone at the club help me feel at home. Thank you for this chapter in my life, Erik.
Okay.
Lenny Euro.
No. Okay, I agree. Lenny Euro's going to come back towards the end of November, right?
He's not here yet.
Right.
Let's not go with injured
And I
players
think
just
there's
yet.
a problem here because Alexis raised a great point before we check out the rest of the lineup. To play that libero position, who are you going to put? Lindelof or Maguire or De Ligt?
Yeah, you have to. You have
In
to.
the libero? You trust any of those guys? I would, to be honest, I trust Lisandro Martinez more in the middle of the 3.
He's too mobile to store him there. You have to put him at left.
Yeah.
But Lisandro Martinez has played center defensive mid before. As a band-aid, I get that Lenny Euro's.
You could play Lenny Euro in the middle of the
He's not there yet. And that's what I think is a problem.
Also, but he will be when Amorim is on the sideline.
But here's my thing.
Back.
But when you don't, because you can't just say forever you're going to have Lenny Yoro. Just say he's injury prone. I think you have to
He's
also
also
rethink.
18. Give him a chance to get back and get
you
back
have
to
to
match fitness.
rethink towards other transfer
So
windows.
you
And be
want to
like,
you want to take him out now? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
just I think that's a consideration that Amorim has to have, not only for now, but the future also. So I might need another more mobile center back that can play in the libero position.
Well, the only other person that I think would give them at least something, given the experience, is Maguire. You're playing Maguire in the middle of the
Talk
back three.
about mobility is not his thing anymore.
No.
I mean, it wasn't. It was a.
That's not
who I would-
ideal.
Delict also played-
if I was a Manchester United supporter, that's who I'd feel most comfortable with, given his experience, and look at the other options.
Not ideal.
Delict played in the back three under Tuchel at Bayern Munich. Wasn't the best, but at least he has an understanding of a back three. So I think you put Delict in the middle. You go
Can we
Lisandro
show the
Martinez at the
graphic
left,
again?
and you go Lindelof on the right.
I want to look at that again.
I think Lindelof has been dreadful.
At moments, I get Lenny Euro. He's just not healthy yet.
It's an area of concern.
Charlie, when you look at this lineup, who of these players do you think has the highest potential to thrive under a manager and a system under Ruben Amorim?
One who's played for Sporting.
Yes.
Ugarte.
So Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, I thought I was going to go Ugarte.
Same.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes.
Well, you can all make your
and,
case.
And for me, given this lineup, Garnacho, you're not going to get the most out of him in that position.
Okay.
So I'm moving Garnacho up to that left wing spot, and Rasmus Højlund is coming off.
So now Rashford becomes
And
your left wing
Rashford
back?
is your starting center forward.
Yeah.
Wait, who's
So
your
you're
starting
playing-
center forward?
Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford.
So Garnacho is now where Rashford is.
You can
in
put
this graphic.
Mazraoui as left wing back and Dalot as right back, or Dalot as you could. Those two have played on both wings, and Dalot's really good getting forward.
I don't mind
Isn't
Delo as
Luke Shaw
a
back
left
as
as a
well?
right wing back.
Isn't Luke Shaw back?
Whenever he's back, and you even have Tyrell Malacia in there, like.
Remember him?
But Garnacho, I can see potential in him playing left wing back. Because
Does that take him too much out of the
I
attack?
think it takes away of what he's so good at.
Okay.
You don't want him wasting all his time defending where he has limited energy going forward.
But look at Grealish, not necessarily in a three-back, but at Manchester City, when Grealish had his best season, he was really good offensively, but where he really grew was if he was tracking back, he would get forward. His heat map on that wing was probably read at the entire. For Jack Grealish at Manchester City, that one season where he absolutely killed it. And he was good defensively and he was good offensively. Maybe Garnacho can give you that. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm also going to throw in a little caveat there.
Okay.
It's Manchester City where they dominated possession.
Okay,
and
fair,
he had the
fair.
ball always in the attacking third.
But
Always.
remember, Pep, that's also
when they
the
won,
year
when
Pep
they lost
said,
the ball.
oh, and people aren't tracking back. It's not a good thing. So him and Foden were asked to,
Right.
and they both did a lot more of it.
But is it Ruben Amorim a Pepist? How do you say it in English?
Yeah.
He's Pepista?
Pepista. He is.
Yeah.
Oh, Guardiolista. In Spanish, you would say Guardiolista. So
Let's be honest. He also
don't know.
plays. The thing about Amorim is he also plays a 3-4-2-1, which I could see Højlund staying in if you are doing that one. In a 3-4-3, you might be right, and you might go Rashford up top because you want them to link. But I still think Rashford's future might be in that left wing back, take a little pressure off of him in front of goal.
Do we know how adaptable Amorim is as a manager in terms of is he going to be willing to bend a little in his system to accommodate the players that he has? Because we keep saying these aren't his players, these are Erik Ten Hag's players. And so these aren't guys that he handpicked to play the type of system. So how good is he going to be at maybe adjusting to putting these guys in their best positions, like a Garnacho, for example?
Well, I think that's the brilliance of a manager, a coach, to come in and say, hey.
But has he done that? Does he have a track record
In the
of doing
past,
that?
so when he was at Casapia, which is in the third division, was he at Casapia or at Braga B before he got to Braga, which is what got him the move to Sporting? He started with a back four and lost his first 3 matches. Then he switches to a back 3 and went on a tear. If I'm not mistaken, when he gets to Braga, he goes 10 out of the first 13, all wins. So he's been stuck on the back 3 since then. Seems like he understands how to move it. And look, when they get into attacking shape, people invert. Sometimes defensively, they'll go to a back 5 as opposed to a back 3. It's flexible in that sense, but back 3 seems to be the basis of a system.
Right, and these are a manager that I'm close with says that these are phone numbers, right? It looks different in different phases of play. That back 3, the low can drop, and in the defensive phase, it's 4 in the back, and then you're defending with
but then Lisandro becomes your left back.
But he's played left back. He's been playing left back.
You want that strike. I'd rather see a back five in that sense than a back four.
Right, sure. But again, it adapts. It's a very complex, modern style of play. So, yes, you need your players to adapt. You need to understand where in each different role, because Garnacho could be playing left wing back. Garnacho could be playing on the left of that front three.
It's also where's the team position. So it's similar to Liverpool.
Yeah.
If you're playing high lines, then you can afford to play our Garnacho as a left wing back, because you're in the attacking half when you lose the ball anyways. So you can win it back, you can go right to goal. So if they're sitting back or in the mid block, that's when you're starting to say, actually, we're not getting the most out of certain players in those positions. But given he's going to play in a 3-4-3 and they play high up the pitch, they generate a lot of chances, which is what Manchester are lacking, goals. Therefore, maybe you want to play more attacking players on the pitch.
Brings me up to my next question. We should all do a bet on, does he unlock Rasmus Højlund the way he unlocked Gyökeres?
Oh.
A little something for the holiday party.
I like this.
Yeah, but that's very subjective, excuse me.
Why don't we put a number on it?
By the end of
More
the season.
goals than he did with Ten Hag.
By the holiday.
How many goals did he have last season?
I think he had 12,
Okay.
14.
How about this?
Was-
By the holidays, does he have 7 goals?
I have
during
70
his
goals
reign?
that Rasmus Højlund had last year. That's going to be our.
By December 31st under Amorim
Over 10 or over? Is that too
I'll do over
5.5.
No,
But last season,
7.5.
he had how
over
many?
7.5.
Nah.
That's unlock.
So he had 10 Premier League goals last season, so over 10. And I'm going to take the under.
No, this is by December 31st.
Just by
under
the turn of the
Amorim's
year.
run.
Okay.
Let's call it 6.5. 6.5 goals, over under, quick.
I'm going to say under.
Under.
Over.
I'll take the over with Alexis.
$10.
No. Under.
Come on, you gotta move it.
Under. No. That's a lot of goals in a short amount of time.
We're going to have a hell of a holiday party. Either way.
$10.
All right. We're taking a break. I think Lisa.
Manchester United have finally confirmed the appointment of Portuguese coach Ruben Amorim as the new manager at Old Trafford. United sacked Erik ten Hag on Monday following a dismal start to the season, and immediately opened talks with the Amorim about replacing the Dutchman. The club were willing to pay a £10 million release clause to sign their top target before encountering issues over further compensation to acquire Amorim's assistant coaches, leading the appointment to drag out all week. But after striking a deal, Amorim will now leave Sporting CP following 4 years in charge, having won 2 league titles to end the club's 19-year wait, and with the Sporting top of the Primeira Liga having won each of their first 9 games. The 39-year-old will join United on Monday the 11th of November, meaning his first game in charge will be away to Ipswich on the 24th of November, after the international break. He has joined until June 2027 with a club option of an additional year, and Ruud van Nistelrooy will stay in interim charge until the Portuguese arrives, having led the side to a 5-2 Carabao Cup victory over Leicester in midweek. The former Benfica midfielder built a reputation as one of the brightest young managers in Europe after restoring calm and glory to the chaotic Sporting he inherited, not unlike the mission he faces now. United lie 14th in the Premier League after 9 games, and 21st in the Europa League table, having failed to win any of their opening 3 European fixtures. Ruben is one of the most exciting and highly rated young coaches in European football. Highly decorated as both a player and coach, his titles include winning the Primeira Liga twice in Portugal with Sporting CP, the first of which was the club's first title in 19 years. Amorim is United's 7th managerial appointment since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, as the club continue to search for that elusive 21st league title. He learnt from one of those managers, spending a week in Manchester shadowing Jose Mourinho as part of his coaching studies. However, Amorim's footballing principles are quite different, with an emphasis on aggressive pressing and attacking play as well as a preference for a 3-4-3 formation. United have 2 Portuguese players in captain Bruno Fernandes and defender Diogo Dalot, while Amorim also reunites with his former midfielder at Sporting, Manuel Ugarte. I think all the qualities are there to be able to succeed in English, French, or Spanish football, Fernandes told Sport TV last year, when asked about Amorim's future. Obviously, we know that the Premier League is probably the most desired. The qualities to succeed in England are there, and he has everything to take the next step, in my opinion. Amorim is the club's first managerial appointment since Ineos took charge of football operations at Old Trafford, after acquiring a minority stake in the club in February. Sir Jim Ratcliffe restructured the hierarchy, bringing in cycling guru Sir Dave Brailsford to oversee the project. Omar Barada arrived from Manchester City to take up the role of Chief Executive Officer, while Dan Ashworth was poached from Newcastle United to become the club's sporting director. The new leadership team initially backed Ten Hag as manager, but pressure grew amid a string of poor performances last season, which culminated in an 8th-placed finish in the Premier League. Ten Hag saved his job with a shock victory over Manchester City in the FA Cup final and earned a one-year contract extension, along with some £200 million of investment in the playing squad. But Ineos' courting of alternatives was widely reported, and the writing was on the wall following a poor start to the 202,425 campaign, which included home thrashings at the hands of Liverpool and Tottenham.